Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been so long that I film a video. I've had that my setup has changed. Yes. So judging by the title of this video, you will definitely know what I'm going to talk about. Um if you're just seeing my video for the first time, my name is Ifelu Alabi. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and let's build a community together. You can be sure I'm actually shares sincere and honest opinion on matters. So I relocated into Canada in 2024 with my family with two kids. I'm a mom of two, and nobody actually talked about how difficult it is to raise kids here in Canada. So when we relocated, my son is actually like 3 years old, going to be 4 by April, and my daughter was about 8 months. And in my mind, in Nigeria, your kids can literally start school at any age. Like some people start put their kids, their newborns like 6 months in daycare. It's not like they wanted to, but really they don't have choice. So, and you will always see daycare that will take them and even take care of them as much as you will take care of them. Yeah. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe that's what's going to happen. Like you're coming to developed countries, it's going to be better, obviously, because if you ask a lot of people, one of their reasons or one of their top reasons of relocating is to give their children a very good, a better lifestyle. But guess what? When we came in, number one was people started telling me that, hello, daycare here, you have to be on a wait list. You have to be on a wait list. And I'm like, I didn't even know the gravity of it until when I started looking for daycare. Now, I started looking for daycare for my daughter, and when I started signing up, people told me there's a website to sign up. I signed up on the website, and guess what? When I started calling them and following up, they told me that my daughter is on. I started hearing big figures like your daughter is on 660 something, is on 450 something on the list, is on 250 something, and I'm wondering when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? So, and people are not telling me alternatively I can do home daycare, and I started looking for home daycare because you're looking for home daycare that had subsidy. And then when I saw some home daycare, they said they were sorry, they can't take children that are less than 1 year and leave. My daughter is about 8 months, and some daycare even say that they cannot take children that are less than 18 months. Then some daycare even told me that, oh, they are sorry, your daughter needs to start working before they take them. And I'm like, oh my God. So number one, my daughter was less than one. Number two, my daughter hasn't started working at that time. And it was a big hassle. And also for my son as well, I never really know also that kids don't start until when they are 4 and they cannot even come in the middle of a section. So I was thinking, like in Nigeria, if you come today in Nigeria, you want your children to start school, they will start school. But here in Canada, it has to be every calendar month, like September. So I had to be with my children, my two kids, for 8 good months at home. I was I didn't even know how I survived it because it was really a whole lot. But I thank God, in the middle of these 8 months, I was looking for a job, attending several trainings, because my husband was busy, was so fully engaged at that point. So he only comes back in the evening. There's little he can do. I have to take care of the kids. Me that I'm used, like my life in Nigeria is, I'm always like, I'm the career person. I'm always, if I can put somewhere my kids in a very good place, I travel a lot. I have my caregivers, and I'm very grateful for my children's teacher. In fact, they're like blessings. They are like angels on two legs for me. But here in Canada, I had to stay with my children for 8 good months. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. So that's the first thing I would talk about. The second thing was like when my son finally got into school. Everybody always talk about the fact that you as an adult, you are kind of like finding your foot into the system. You are just acclimatizing, but nobody also talk about the challenges children actually face, that they don't have to take things to their heart. Come and see different changes. Number one, from my kids, their teacher, his teacher in school, and the teacher was like, oh, he doesn't, somebody that's been away from school for 8 months already, someone that by the time they were in Nigeria, he was, Nigeria educational standard now, like, and now coming here is so, because at that time I was working, I had to make sure that, I just usually give him cartoon and also engage him a little time. But number one, they're like, oh, your son does not pay full attention in class. The thing is that all the small things that we don't put our mind on, as parents in Nigeria, it's a big deal here in Canada. And that's one thing that I noticed though. Number one, they want, like, when they, for example, when you are speaking to a Nigerian child, they don't expect, like, in Nigerian culture, you don't expect to look into people's face directly. But in Canada, if you don't look into people's face when you're talking, they feel like you are timid or you don't have confidence, or they just read meaning to a lot of things. And it was so, like, I thank God, I'm very grateful that we are now in a very better space, which I will tell you, I'll actually try and do a video on that very soon. Maybe another video. I am grateful to God that we're in a better place. For my son, my daughter, we're all perfectly fine, because when the OT was coming up, I had to take it as a speed that I was getting was like, he likes to play, with toys. When they are schooling, they want full attention. And I remember that I had to go and sit down the teacher and say, yes, I appreciate you, I know you're a professional, but at the same time, I know my son is coming from a very good educational background. And then I want to tell you that he's one of the best, the amazing student, because I have gotten a lot of feedback from my son's teacher, and I am so confident in his ability. And I have to tell her that, see, calm down, give him some time. He's just settling down. We're coming, apart from the fact that he's been out of school for 8 months, we're just coming to a new country. He needs to, settle in. And that's even for my son's teacher. My son is also coming and telling me some other things, like, me, his classmate speaks English. And I'm saying that, what are you saying? It's not, and really, my son, my kids don't even know how to, talk in their home mother's tongue as such, but they can hear, but they cannot even talk. So we speak English primarily to them, and they speak English primarily to us. But he started hearing other people talk in another accent, and he started feeling like he felt so different. Another thing again is that my son started giving me feedback like, oh, mommy, his classmate had a long hair. How come he has a short hair? He started telling him that his classmate has a blue eye. How come, there was just a whole lot. But I'm grateful that we're in a better place. I am so grateful to God, with prayer, with encouragement, with also ironing things out to my son's teacher and say, see, Brian is an amazing student. He's an amazing child. I am very confident this child is blessed and blessed forever. And that's just that. That's just that. Like, this little conversation that I just said, it's a lot of, it's something that took some months, but I'm glad, because now I understand why by some, I've had a lot of people complain online that when they relocated, their children found it hard to actually, like, settle in. Sometimes their children were being labeled some things, even taken for some diagnoses, and not. Thank God mine isn't up to that, but it was challenging, I must say. And thank God I'm a firm mother, and I know my son confidently enough. So another thing again I'm going to talk about is, nobody talks about the closing hour and the resumption hour. In Canada, school resumes by 9 o'clock. School resumes by 9 o'clock, and school closes by 3 p.m. To work by 9 o'clock. How would you? See, I remember there was a time that, thank God for myself and my husband relocated together. But what about, people will always figure it out, really. So there was this day my husband could not drop the kids. I have to be the one to drop the kids. I was going to resume by 9 o'clock. Guess what? I got to my son's school by 8:55, and they told me that no, the school resumes by 9 o'clock. And I'm like, can somebody just take my son? You guys know him. Oh God, it was just a different ball game for me. So I remember that when they told us our school closes by 3:30 and they give us a grace of 3:45, we were still joking. I'm like, okay, African time, even though we still try. There was this day we got to school like 3:48, I think just 3 minutes later because of the traffic light thing. And we got a call from the school that Brian is the only child left in the class. So you can see now that, and since that time, we just had to up our game and say, if you're going to pick your child by 3:30 or 3:45, you need to leave the house by 3 o'clock, just in case there's any incasity on the road, you will get there right on time. And also 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock. So let's say you walk by 8 o'clock, or you resume to work by 8 o'clock, and you have kids, you might literally need to turn down the job or find a way around it. So what we've just been able to do is there's another program that is on school, which is also a way of these people creating different avenue for people to make a lot of money. I just want to check in, yeah. So there is before school and there is after school. So what we currently do is that we do after school, because after school helps us to extend, like, because of the after school program, my son can now stay back in school till about 6 p.m., which is easier for us because most times we are done with work by 5 p.m., but early in the morning we still find a way of getting across, coping around it. Also for my daughter, daycare also, because when I'm talking about children, I'm just talking about my son alone. I'm also talking about if you have a baby or a toddler. So my daughter is quiet because I'm just so glad that I found a Nigerian home daycare for her, and that woman is just the most amazing blessing to me. I'm so grateful to God that I remember when I was trusting God for daycare for my daughter, and I was literally praying to God. Really, God answers prayer, but at the same time, 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. So there was a time that we were caught up in traffic and we couldn't get to meet Sophia, my daughter's daycare. We couldn't get to daycare by 5 o'clock. Thank God it's even a Nigerian lady. She told me that next time every minute is like $2 or $10. I can't remember. So there's a penalty if you come and pick your kids late. So why that you can see what I'm saying, that you need to up your game if you have kids here in Canada. So another thing I want to talk about is extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities. Oh, yes, in Nigeria, well, my kids are still small, but when I came here, I started seeing a lot of things happening right, left, and center. So it's not just, in Nigeria, just take your children to school and that's all. In fact, you will look for extra lesson for them. But here is so different. You need to find extracurricular activities for your kids. And one of the things I learned is that people saying that their children are playing basketball, volleyball. Your children have now summer is coming. Summer program is coming, people go on vacation. So yeah, the dynamics of raising children will put you on your toes, like you will literally be on your toes. You need to be fully involved. Not that you're not fully involved in Nigeria, but in Nigeria you have a lot of community, like a village. You get that kind of, when I say village, you have a community, a large community of people like supporting you, helping you to raise kids. Your neighbors are involved, everybody are involved, but here only you and your husband and your kids, and you have to be fully responsible for them. Not even a dynamic culture like this. A lot of things are flying. A lot of things are flying. Oh, wow, amazing, right? Another thing again is that you need to be up your game. And so apart from the fact I talked about extracurricular activities, you have to find a way of involving your children. There's volleyball, there's basketball, there's swimming. You just have to be there. So another thing again that I will talk about is this system takes anything for kids. So if you are very confident in the Nigerian culture that I came from, as much as I've talked about that it takes a village to raise a kid, but yeah, even there's village, but the village is very small. So if your kids say they don't want something, they don't want it. They're not. Yeah, it's not that they're not disciplining the system, but they are not strict rules. So, for example, and I am glad that when my son goes to, the teacher is very, very disciplined, and I love her a lot. I think at first it was a rough relationship, but it became really interesting with time. So, well, this is what I'm just saying is that your kids, they just take no for no, and they get yes for yes. So you can't say that no, they take it as no. So imagine, what can a 4-year-old, how can a 4-year-old say no and you say it's no? So there's a gist there. For example, if your kids don't like food, or maybe they are not eating, you're going to come back with their plate food. They'll say, oh, your kid is not eating, and that's why it's not eating. So You see what I'm saying? You need to up your game. So you need to up your game. If your kids say, "Oh, this is where they are going to go that way." Like that discipline thing is not so firm in school. Like in Nigeria, sometimes your teacher even go overboard than your parents. You get what I'm trying to say. So another last thing I'm just going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the fact that the environment has a lot of options. Like, well, I want to talk about the options. The environment is so it's just so I don't know the right words. There's just a lot of things happening. Like for example, the culture is so different, and I know, right? So your children are going to be exposed to a lot of things, some things that you're not exposed to. So I remember we went to the mall, and my son was like, "Oh, mommy, can we get a cat?" And I'm like, cat? He said yes, that we can get a cat because his teacher is he loves his teacher a lot, and he said his teacher has a cat, so he feels that we should get a cat. And I'm like, a cat. And my son is trying to convince me and say, "Mommy, cats are cute." See, no shades to anybody that has a cat, but it's fine. I mean, cats are cute because I later had a colleague that has a cat, and cats. I instead of like liking the cats too, because the cat is so cute. But we're coming from like African dynamics, we don't really have pets. Not that people have dogs, obviously, no, not so common. People have cats, but not so common. So your kids are going to be exposed to a lot of things from love for animals. They're just going to be exposed. Like you start hearing some things that these children say at home, and you'll be wondering, excuse me, where did they learn it from? Apart from the fact that they watch cartoon, which you try your best to make sure that it's a good cartoon, but you'll be shocked. They're going to be telling you, mommy, somebody is telling lies. Somebody is acting bad. Somebody parents is there. What if somebody's parents is, you know, um, it's somebody's parent belongs to another community that does not align with your faith. What are you going to say? So children are constantly exposed to a lot of things in the community, and that's why one of the things I try to do is I try to engage my son in a lot of conversations so that I can know what he's been feeding on. But let me tell you the truth, sometimes it can be unnecessarily overbearing because this children can talk a lot. So they can tell you they don't know, they can tell you so many things they've said before, and they can't repeat it. But I just try to engage him in a lot of conversations so that I can have an idea of what he's saying. So I would say above all, what we've just been able to do being in this system, raising two kids, is that number one is making sure that we maintain a good family altar at home, praying at home. Let them know that we are Christian. Let them know how to pray, share Bible stories. I always try to, as much as possible, you know, reaffirming that they have my son. My daughter is still little. My son has a confession. I try to make sure I engage him in prayer, telling him Bible story, correcting when I hear him saying some things that I don't like. Number two thing that I also try to do is we myself and my husband obviously is that we take him when we go to a church, and we try as much as we've been doing that from Nigeria, but this time around we double up. We double up. We're listening to messages at home. He's going to children's church. We're making sure that he's fully conscious of the fact that we are children of God. We are God's children. He's a child of God. I always say funny. Why I know this is actually very important. Imagine there was a time that my son has a separate room, and then I told him that he should go and sleep. Most times, always I want myself or my husband to sleep with him. And we started telling him that I should go and sleep alone, and that God is with him, and he's going to say, he cannot see God physically. Look, I'm like, "Okay, God is inside your heart." Oh God, was like, I had to convince him now. Thank God, because I kept saying it over and over, and I can sleep alone without saying, "Oh, daddy, come and sleep with me, mommy, come and sleep with me." I'm scared and all that and all that. So what I'm just saying is that you just have to double up by the wisdom of God, expose them to God, let them know about the family cultures at home. Uh, constantly remind them, make sure that they have good community of friends, make sure that you just try your best actually, because children, they are just they're a playing ground. It is what you grow inside them that will grow or that will germinate. So you want to try as much as possible as a parent to just keep an eye. You can't overdo it, you can only underdo it, and most importantly, you should trust God for it. Above overall, would I say that raising kids abroad is difficult, where it's not so difficult, but it can be challenging. You just have to be present. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching my video, and please do subscribe, do like, share, and let somebody know if they're going through the same similar challenge. And bye for now, guys. Bye.